Was this part of a deal that Boni Khalwale, you with the Joint Select Committee, and of course you are talking and deliberating on the issues of IBC, where is this coming from?
All I remember is that we agreed that the commissioners should be given a soft landing upon accepting voluntarily to resign. So if space has been found in the diplomatic missions where they can be given job, I would have no problem with it.
Why not? Right. Then let's go back now to what is on the front page of the Daily Nation. 844, Mutahi Kagwe. No more exams in new school system. You applaud this?
Well, first and foremost, I think that it is time. It is time to review our system of education. And it is time, and I agree with the fact that it is not exam focused. Mm-hmm. But having said that, I think that in the review of any system that you are going to have, there are a few fundamental issues that we have to be careful about. Number one, I agree with those who are saying, let's not rush, to get this thing done. I think there is quite a bit of preparation that is necessary to start a new system. Secondly, let it not just address academic issues. Mm-hmm. Kenya needs new thinking. We need to have a school system that builds patriotism and nationalism in our kids. Mm-hmm. We need a school system that addresses future problems like tribalism. Mm-hmm. All right, our kids need to come out of school without tribal thinking, and we need to come out of school as disciplined Kenyans. We suffer from tribalism, we suffer from indiscipline, we suffer from lack of patriotism, and I think those are some of the issues that must be addressed in our education system.
Thank you.
Academia is not just about a youth in an information overload.
All right, if we may hack back a bit to 2011, Mithika, Linturi, we had the task force that was put forth by the then Minister of Education, Nyeri, and it was led by Dan Odhiambo to actually overhaul or come up with a suggestion on how we can try and overhaul the system. And they had the talent-based sort of curricula. If we may compare that to this, right? Don't you think we are still there? Maybe in fact, the best person who can tell us this is Professor Herman Manyora. Yeah, the talent-based exam compared to what we have now is all about tertiary university, senior secondary 3 years, junior secondary 3 years, upper primary 3 years, lower primary 3 years, right? But what discernible difference does it really have with 844, aside maybe from staggering the years?
But Debarl, before we give the professor the opportunity, because I think he has better grasp of our education system than we may have, I think it's only important to say that I think, yes, that system has been approved. This has been as a result of boardroom discussions and with a few stakeholders. And as Mutahi was saying, let us not rush into it. I think time has come when we must now take it to a public for debate, so that at least for quite some time, people are able to understand and what that means to our children and the future of our education system. So then by the time we are going into it, then it will have gone through serious scrutiny and discussions. And I personally really support this business of targeting or focusing on talent. Because, like, for example, when we all use examinations as a basis for grading children, yes. It's very wrong. It's not the best, because people have different abilities, people have different talents, and failing in an exam does not mean that's the end of life. And that's why I personally really support it, and also say that to replace this Matiang business of what happened last year, because when you look at the people that scored, I don't know whether it's and below over 300,000 people, that's condemning those people for like forever. But with this system, at least this gives hope.
All right, let's hear from the academia corner.
You see, the bar, in 1984-85, President Moi forced an education system on Kenyans. It has worked successfully elsewhere, like in America, so there's nothing wrong with it, but it was forced on Kenyans. 30 years we've spent complaining about that education system. 30 years later today, or 31, the government wants to force another education system on Kenyans. And I can assure you we'll spend another 40 years complaining about that education system. There is more confusion about this education system and what needs to be done and what is going to be done, wapende waspende, than you can even. On this bench yesterday, I was horrified listening to the director of curriculum, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, formerly KIE. I was so shocked. He was asked, why do you want to change the education system? Here on this bench yesterday. And he says the UNESCO benchmark is like you review your curriculum every 5 years. Correct. The last time we did is 25 years ago. About 2 or 3. Correct. But that is a curriculum, not the structure. You can change the curriculum, which is a content. You can change systems of evaluation, of examinations. But it doesn't mean you have to change the structure. The structure is different from the curriculum. If the director can't understand that, then who would understand? So there's more confusion. We need to know what's going on in this country. I agree with these two gentlemen here, Senator Kagwe and Mheshimiwa Linturi. Let us look at these things. Let us be given sufficient time. Where are we heading to?
All right, thank you. Let's hear from Senator Kimani Mutahi in this regard. Also,
Debarl, what I would say about this first and foremost is that parents, Kenyans, the children must be given time first to assimilate, understand, and be explained to precisely what is this about.
Yes.
Because you see, unfortunately, most of the time when people want to show like they're working, they're doing things, they're changing things, they want to come in with new systems, with new definitions, and make it look like they're revolutionizing something. And this, because this is about education, it's about the future of many of our young Kenyans, it must be taken more seriously than it has been in the past. And I want to say, especially to those in the Ministry of Education, this cannot be a populist agenda. They cannot put this one this way, that they had a bad one, now we want to bring a new one. This is not about that, you know, and I say this with due respect to those academicians like Professor and those that are in the ministry. You see, if you look at this, and save for the fact that the new system attempts to bring in more focus in tertiary education and the other, you know, technical and so on. But largely what it looks like is it's just shuffling of the years. 8 plus 4 plus 4 equals to 16.
Right. So it's
this
just
plus
been
this plus this plus this is equals to 17.
That's why I'm asking.
I mean, you know, it can't be that way. It cannot be. It must be about quality. It must be about the final product. And this is about people's lives.
But looking at the front page of maybe the Standard, may go back there, where they say, especially with the senior secondary 3, that's 3 year specialization starts in arts and sports science, social sciences and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects. That is a STEM. Could that also...
You're already dividing people into those who will actually be stigmatized as weak. You are weak and therefore you can't do the sciences. You go and do these bad things. You know, we need time to look at these things carefully.
All right.
Yeah. We just need time.
All right. So
nothing's wrong with what they are suggesting, but we just need time.
In the interest of time, also, let's just go quickly. We know what really happened last week on Friday before we go back to our conversation, the fallen Kenya soldiers, and this is what now has been depicted here by Munene. We salute them. Briefly, what could have really gone wrong? Of course, we might say, yeah, that is bound to happen in any war.
You've left education.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't get your sentiment. Okay.
No comment.
Briefly.
Debarl, I think I'm very excited about what's going on. I have no doubt that behind this proposal, serious experts like Professor Manyora have burned midnight oil to ensure that they give us this product. I see only 2 questions which they must make very clear to Kenyans. The first one is, how are they going to roll it out? How are they going to implement it to this extent? Will they say the children who are currently in class 7, for argument's sake, will be part of the new, and below, will be part of the new structure, or what? To my mind, I would accept a situation whereby it starts from the pre-primary level. And it grows over all those years until it goes up to the university.
Yes.
So that the children who are today in pre-primary should go through the current system. And the ones who will be admitted in January should then go through these stages. The second point is they want to leave the impression that there will be no exams. It's not possible, impossible to have no exams. Because even as you say, we have children in junior level being given optional subjects. Some will be good in arts, others will be good in sciences, computers, and so on. For you to decide that this child is better off in science than arts, you have to subject that child to an exam. He sits arts.
But the perception is not that this is a do or die exam. There is a continuous assessment. That
Let me tell you why it will be do or die.
If you say do or die is what now we've been actually going through. We know if I don't really sell through with my KCPE, then I'm a done.
It is a do or die this way. And this is what we had, Mutahi, you and I, and Professor. And Linturi here is a very young man in spite of, despite his gray hair. During
don't you know that Linturi, don't you know Linturi now flies the airs of Meru?
He's Captain Linturi.
He's a captain.
No, he has now washed hands, so you can see that.
We'll come back to that.
You're belittling somebody who can fly to Kakamega and bring you to Meru and give you orders.
So the point I was making is that, gentlemen, you'll remember the old system which was replaced by this one of 844. You also, you used to be subjected to a decision whether when you go to A level, you will sit for arts or sciences. Yeah. That's basically what they are doing. So we will need an exam all the time. You can't run away from exams.
Thank you.
And those exams become do or die when now a student realizes, I want to go and join medicine, for example. I want to join architecture and or engineering. So this child says, if I don't pass this, I am not going to get the degree that I wanted, do or die.
But you see, the bar is asking you, the bar is informing you that there will be continuous assessment test. That is correct. But in a country where people see still a highly centralized exam, how much more will they still exams that are localized? These exams that are localized, that are done by way of continuous assessment test, presupposes a society with values. A society where teachers can administer a local exam without playing monkey games. You see, this is where the challenge is going to come from.
But even more dangerous. Yeah. All our teachers want their children to move up. Yeah. So if the continuous assessment result will be done locally at Kakamega High School, the teachers at Kakamega High School want to see their quota at the university. The teachers are going to be tempted to be soft.
All right.
On the continuous assessment.
Let's wind up on this. Let's wind up.
But this is a hot thing.
Just a moment.
Okay, give.
I think the issue here is this. I think the issues that are being raised here are real.
Yes.
There are two things. A, it is supported. You know, the change is supported. But B, the changes here are real. And Professor, you said something just now about values. You see, let us make it clear. Education is not just about exams. It's not just about reading when Vasco da Gama went round the Cape of Good Hope. You know, this is not what the purpose of education is. Education must also answer the challenges of the nation and look at the future challenges of our people and address those issues now. Yeah. You know, that's why the issue of values. How much value education are we going to have in our education system? We have had these challenges of which schools are national schools, which schools are local schools. You know, as many schools as possible should be national so that we can integrate our people and their minds, you know, before they become tribalized adults.
Thank you.
And remove
we need to wind up on this.
Emphasis
we are strapped for time.
From one exam. Eventually, what will happen is that the cheating will be lessened. You see what you're saying, Khalwale, is correct.
Right.
That once you take away the emphasis from this one do or die examination through the continuous assessment, it also takes away the incentive to prepare to steal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Let's leave it at that. I think this is a whole debate that we need to talk about the curricula. But yeah, I just want a one line on what really happened last week, and of course this house also raised a lot of debate that has been there before. In regard to our military who are our military Kenyan Defense Forces who are actually in Somalia right now. This is it, and this is what now Munene has captured for us this morning. Let's begin with Mithika Linturi. We'll come to you, Professor. Just 30 seconds.
I think, in my view, it's really sad that we are to lose these gallant Kenyans. And I think, once again, it's important that we take these matters of security so seriously. And I cannot understand, because I have not had an opportunity to really interact with a number of people on what was happening, because I wound up somewhere. But the Kenyan Defense Forces should really, we are sorry about what has happened, but I think they must work under, especially in the area of intelligence sharing, because I don't think these things happen without some idea.
All right. Professor.
We salute our gallant soldiers. We condole with the families that have lost loved ones. But as we do so as a country, we must ask questions. Must our children die in Somalia? What is there for us in this war? Time has come for Kenya to remove its soldiers from Somalia. Americans were unable to control Somalia. Marines were killed and dragged in the streets, corpses dragged in the streets of Mogadishu. Kenyans must begin to ask. And why am I saying this? Kenyans must stop being insensitive. When American soldiers began arriving in those bags, black plastic bags from Vietnam, Americans stood up, they demonstrated, and they forced their country to withdraw from Vietnam. Time has come for Kenya to stop dying for America. If you look at all terrorist attacks in this country, beginning with the Norfolk attack in 1981 or thereabouts, we are fighting American wars, we are dying for Americans, and we must stop dying for them.
All right. Boni Khalwale, briefly, very briefly.
Very briefly, I request President Uhuru to break his silence on the continued massacre of Kenyan youth in Somalia. On 15th of January last year, it happened at Elade. He has remained quiet. Last week, it happened in, is it Gulbiyo? He has remained silent. He must break his silence, and what Kenyans want to hear is not the president telling us how many people of our youth have died, or telling us of how he's committed to ensuring that our region is safe. We would like him to take a position.
Thank you.
When is he going to withdraw our children from Somalia? And he must tell us, what is it that we are defending in Somalia? Are we defending charcoal trade? Are we defending trade in contraband sugar? As we hear that this is being done by senior officers, and therefore they are sacrificing our children must come back.
All right, Mutahi.
I think, sorry.
It was Mutahi's turn.
It is Wamatangi or Mutahi. Because
yes.
Yeah, thank you. First and foremost, of course, I join my colleagues in condoling the families that were affected. I think that it's good to remember that we are at war. There is a reason why we sent our soldiers to Somalia, and there was a mission, and that is to secure the interests of Kenya. Not America, not any other nation, the interests of Kenya. And we must remember that attacks on Kenya in Lamu, in Kiwayu, in those other areas started before the soldiers went to Somalia, and the soldiers went to protect the borders of Kenya. Having said that, it is also important for us to appreciate that even as we discuss these things, we cannot pretend to be experts in intelligence or experts in war situations and what is actually happening on the ground. We are not field commanders. The field commanders would have very good ideas about what is going on. And I think that we have got a very credible, very efficient military. So all we can say, I think I agree with Professor, let's urge that our soldiers get more intelligence to ensure that the loss of life is minimized as much as can be.
Right. Wamatangi.
Yeah, I want to first condole with the families that have lost their sons and daughters in this attack, and the ones that have lost others too. And that this sobers me up and reminds me of what the call to duty for our KDF forces means, you know, and even more so when I imagine what they have to sacrifice themselves for me to be sitting here this morning and say the things I'm saying in peace, that I know that I can walk out this street and be secure and safe. I mean, that is really what it means, and we must impress upon our people. And I first want to call on my colleagues here. Can we redefine and re-understand what it means, the term patriotism? Because really, we must be patriots. We cannot politicize the security of this nation. And I want to also ask these questions to my colleagues. Which Americans ride in the matatus that were being blown in Githurai? Which Americans were in the university in Garissa? I mean, so when you try to say that this is in defense of Americans, come on, this is about our people. It's about us. And this country cannot pretend. We cannot pretend that we are not a global player. I want to say this lastly. You see, if we create this impression that when we are under attack, like we have been many times, and when this kind of things happens, that we want to play politics and say we want to hear the president speaking, can we first ask that great question that was asked by the American president at that time? What can you, Boni Khalwale, do? Not what the president can say. But what can you do?
Okay.
We must know.
This is a topic.
This is why I'm asking question of oversight, President Uhuru. What are we defending in Somalia?
No.
This is my work.
You see,
even viewers will
I'm paid for it.
You know, I believe that the understanding of our country's position and politics cannot be that shallow.
Thank you very much. No. We need to move on. We need to move on.
We have viewers to
we need to move on, sir. Thank you.
They're making issues about everything.
I want to take you back to the comment that was made by Kalonzo Musyoka. Of course, also we have to look at the regional politics of, we have politicians here, and we know also today is a big day for NASA. They are going to have an announcement to make, right? So there is deliberations which is ongoing. Let's just hear what Kalonzo had to say.
This is the time. Unajua, you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. This is a time for Wiper to take leadership. Ndugu zetu wa ODM tuliwajaribia, wajaribu Wiper sasa, muone vile itakuwa. Tuko pamoja, lakini tutakuwa with a very strong coalition. Chini ya serikali tutaunda kwa chini ya muungano wa wapinzani wote ambao ni CORD ama National Super Alliance. Muko tayari? Muko tayari? Kwa hivyo sisi tumeamua tutaungana sisi zote. Safari hii hatutaki kubahatisha. Tunajua tayari wanapanga kuiba, lakini tutapanga waibe mpaka waibe wapate wameshindwa zaidi. Tunasema ile ambayo imechukua sasa hivi ya Chebukati or whatever the name. Unanielewa? Sasa hatutaki wizi wa kura tena. Na ndio tukasema kila mtu sasa mwenye umri ya miaka 18 achukue kipande na achukue kura. Sio kipande achukue national ID. Kipande ilikuwa ile ya ukoloni wa Mwingereza. Unachukua kitambulisho ama sivyo? Na ukipata kitambulisho, na hata Uhuru mwenyewe amesema within 3 days kila kijana apate kitambulisho. Hatutaki wanapeana kitambulisho mahali wanaona kuna Jubilee, na maana hakuna Jubilee wananyima.
All right, we're back to regional party politics, and we have also NASA. We're given to understand they are to name candidates next month, right? And Boni Khalwale, you were the one also saying this, if you may look on the screen there, NASA to name candidates next month. Khalwale confirmed that talks were going on and asked Kenyans to give them time to conclude process.
Yes.
There is a big meeting today.
I merely said what I said on this program before, that it is like cooking a sweet meal in the African culture. Mm-hmm. You cook it slowly in an African pot. So we are cooking. Even as we come out today, we're not going to announce the country.
All right, but
even tomorrow,
we
are cooking.
But what are you cooking? And we have Kalonzo saying, back me for top job. Kalonzo tells Raila, right? We have, what is the deliberation for?
Kalonzo is right. Kalonzo is like a man who is looking for a bride. Sorry, yes, a man who is looking for a bride. He's looking for this girl. Wetangula is, Mudavadi is, Raila is. They all have to approach the girl, but they leave it to the family to deliberate slowly on who it is they can give out their girl to. So let Kalonzo continue saying those things, just as Raila is doing with Wetangula and Musalia. But we shall give only one.
So what is bound to be happening today?
I refuse.
Nothing.
I refuse to say.
Mithika, Linturi.
You know, Debarl, what fascinates me most is Boni Khalwale's style of lying or misleading Kenyans without winking. He can't blink an eye.
It's a skill.
And Boni knows very clearly and very well that whatever he's telling Kenyans is not the truth.
Eh?
It cannot be the truth. There's nothing you are cooking here, my brother.
Really?
Yeah, yes. This one being that the most interested people in these positions are people that you've had relationships with like forever. And these are people that have competing interests. And I am really in doubt whether there is any that will sacrifice his interest for the other and the greater good of this country. And take it to the bank. The candidate, if it's not Raila, Amolo, Ondinga, you are cooked. You will not agree.
Can I
Please.
add something? I think Khalwale is cooking. I agree.
Khalwale has been cooking for quite a long time.
Cooking, he has and he
This
will
particular
continue,
mean, I don't know
and
if
he will
it's burning
continue
right
to
now.
cook. Khalwale is boiling water.
Yes.
Even if you boil water for how long, it will still comes out as water. You know? It can never become anything else.
It's not that
And you know,
easy.
the point is this.
Yes.
This thing called the NAFSA or whatever, NAFSA, NASA, this thing, and you heard Kalonzo speaking there, this is the thing that is going to destroy Kalonzo. You know why, Debarl?
Yes.
There was an agreement that we know about called court. Court had an agreement with Kalonzo that Kalonzo is the person to take the mantle this election. Now, the only reason why there is a rebranding, of this thing, is because the only way you can get out of the court arrangement is to call it something else. And one wonders, CORD is the more famous brand. And you're moving from CORD to another one called NAFSA or NASA or whatever. Now, why would you do that unless it is the Waipo people you are trying to tell, look, now we have to renegotiate again, you become number 2 again, because you remember you were supposed to be number 1 in CORD, but this is not CORD. Therefore, now you have agreed again to agree
Yes.
that you take a number 2 or number 3 position. This is simply to hoodwink Wiper, period.
All right, and why is Wiper also particularly intent? If you look, Wiper here, they're saying, name the flag bearer by end of March.
Because they know they are being hoodwinked.
They're being
They
hoodwinked.
can see they are being led to the slaughterhouse.
All right.
Slowly but surely.
And the other reason is that the
Okay.
political parties act
Let's
will
say-
not allow them to get any, will not give them an opportunity to run somewhere else after. Yes.
Let us say from Wamatangi, yes.
The last time when Boni spoke about cooking, you remember I was straightforward with him, and I think Mutahi has added the right cliche now, that, you are cooking, but in the cooking, they have no menu. They had no recipe.
don't cook water.
And they're not even cooks in the first place. But, the one thing that's not been spoken about is the inner rebellion. You see, there is a rebellion amongst the principles on what you would call the Raila factor and influence. And that is the problem. Because you see, all these gentlemen, all the 5, they have a new one now, or he withdrew. The one who was in red when they were taking the photos. I see of course, they said they will be having now their own presidential candidate in Kanu. But remember, they had tried to bring in the guy from Bomet, Nick Salat.
Salat, yes.
However, now there are 4. In this, amongst these 4, there's one thing they know, Debarl, and we have to say this to our people. Raila ran the last time. He didn't win. He ran again. He didn't win. These people have been of this impression that we cannot back this man. But there's one reality they know, that he is the only man they can sell. He's the only man who can be able to command a following there and a following here. But they are rebelling. And that's the reason why you don't have a flag bearer up to today. Because they themselves feel they don't want to back Raila. That's their problem. And the sooner and earlier they come up, the talk at the grapevine in their own house has been, get Raila to sponsor or to say Kalonzo Tosha backed by Mudavadi, or get Raila to say Mudavadi Tosha backed by Kalonzo. And then the premise of NASA is this, that after that has happened, they are going to tell Raila that when we go and sit in the office, we will come up with a plan to change the constitution and make you the prime minister and give our Tangula another position, which I have said in this forum is a lie, because you cannot predict that when these guys get that position as they want Raila to do, they will go there, sit comfortable, and tell him, Baba, now you are an old man. We cannot go and change the constitution for you to give you the position of prime minister. This is their problem. So if they keep Kenyans in anticipation that there's a plan they're having, they should just simply say they have no plan. Let Wetangula run. Let Raila run on his own. Let the others run on their own. Otherwise, absolutely, I want to say this clearly. There is no NASA, there are no talks going on, there is no cooking going on, there is no kitchen.
All right.
How can you cook?
Can we also look at Mudavadi and Wetangula? Yeah, you will. In unity deal, right? This is what the development is. Of course, we saw for the first time they are holding rallies together, right? So is this also meaning? But looking at the star as well, still Raila still wants to be NASA 2017 candidate. So are you just backing?
What's wrong with that?
Let me make my contribution, because you've gone around without my contribution. I have free advice to Jubilee. Free. I will not charge you. But if you find it good, please take it and give me some consultants in future. There is what we call, there's what we call I'm advising you, better listen. There is I think at least Mutahi Kagwe can listen. You don't listen well. There are two things. One, I read a small play in an area they call Sarianism. It's called Waiting for Godot, or some people will say Godot. Waiting for that which is not coming. Number two, there is the hyena syndrome, where it is said the hyena follows you as you swing your hands going home in the village, hoping your hand will fall down and then it gets a meal. My advice to Jubilee is, please don't behave like the hyena, hoping that these four gentlemen will kind of break up and you will win the elections. If you are going that direction, then you have already lost the elections. And the reasons are not difficult to see. One, these gentlemen are in this thing not because they love it. They have zero options. There's nowhere they can go. You people, you've taken all the jobs all the way to 2042. And these are old men. Because after Uhuru, there is Ruto. After Ruto, there is perhaps Kenyatta's son, or whoever it is. So Kalonzo will be 100 years. They can't. You may given them zero option. So there's nothing in Jubilee for them. So therefore, they are here to stay. And therefore, if they go anywhere, they know they will lose. Number two, and which you must listen to, Mudavadi came up with NASA.
Okay.
It revived an opposition that was almost surely dead.
Now you're talking.
Right, but
now let me finish. Now let me finish quickly. After that, these other guys embraced it. The core principles. They are in it. Some of them grudgingly. But today I've heard Msioka mentioning it. But what should worry Jubilee is that this thing is becoming a people thing.
Which one?
This NASA thing. Unless you are blind, and people in leadership have the tendency to be insensitive and blind. Let me finish. Since I'm not charging you, please, let me just finish. I'm not charging you, listen, please. This is free. This is free. Listen, no.
Bombers give this advice, they ignored it.
Listen, this is free advice, and I'm telling you this, that once the people embrace this thing the way I'm seeing them do, these leaders will have zero option. There will be NASA, and NASA will sweep you out of power. So what you need to do, look for more serious strategies than hoping that these guys will break up.
Let me just tell you about your advice. Okay? Yes. Let me just say something about the advice. I think your advice would be very good if it had been reversed the other way around. Because you see, for example, you say there is no room in Jubilee for these people. Actually, there is room in Jubilee. As will be As you will eventually see, you know, when when everything comes home to roost, you will see that there is room in Jubilee, because some of them may very well be in Jubilee. The second one is this, is you said that NASA is becoming, you know, something that is owned by the people. Actually, the truth of the matter is this, there is no NASA. So you can't own something that does not exist. What there is an idea, all right? Musalia, who is a great guy, Musalia has got an idea about something called NASA that you like to do. There is no way on earth that the NASAs of this world are going to convince the wiper fraternity that now NASA has come, you'll be pushed aside. And the third one is this. Actually, Jubilee is not going to win because of the hyena syndrome.
Yes.
All right? Jubilee is going to win because we are going to carry out massive registration of voters and win in spite of Khalwale's bullfighting. We are still going to make sure that we have enough numbers to win this election.
Okay. Khalwale looks subdued.
Too cold.
No, just a moment.
He's still cooking.
He looks subdued. He's almost joining Jubilee. You almost convinced him.
Now, you know, viewers must be in a state of shock.
Viewers
Must be in a state of shock now, because on this bench, the only politician who is in the united opposition is myself. So when the issue of NASA, which speaks to united opposition, has been brought here, they were expecting me to speak so that you hear what it is that we are doing. Now, listen, relax. Now you, who have absolutely no idea what it is, you are the experts. Is it therefore not surprising?
No, we're waiting for the meal.
We gave you a chance to speak.
You talked about cooking.
Can I?
He said
When you responded, you didn't respond to cooking, you responded to boiling. Cooking food, you cannot cook food and think you are boiling water.
You know, Senator Khalwale.
Boiling is different from cooking food.
All right.
When you cook mrenda, listen, when you cook mrenda, you put in water, then you take mrenda and put in, and at a critical time, you put in musherekha. After putting in musherekha, at a critical time, Mama will put in the cooking spoon, put out, test the mixture, add more musherekha. Let me tell you, that is, now she's cooking, add more musherekha. Then before finally she puts in water. I mean, she puts in salt.
But if you overcook, which seems to be the case, you are overcooking. And I warned you here. May I advise you people freely? I'm advising you. Jubilee is not sleeping. Jubilee will hit you before that food is ready.
All right.
Before the food is ready.
Okay.
So you had better cook quickly.
All right, but let's move on. Just a moment.
I mean, if you go the way you are going, you will become the meal yourself. I mean, but however, Khalwale, my friend, be fair to our listeners. Be fair to our viewers. Last time you said you are cooking yams. That's what you told us here. And you remember me prompting you. Even yams cook at least in a day, man. How can you be cooking for?
That's why he's boiling stones.
Okay, just a moment. Let's see what they are cooking, because who is best suited to be NASA's flag bearer? And there was a straw poll, I think, that was taken by the Star, and this was their projection.
Where is it? Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see that one.
They say, first of all, that on top there it will be Raila Odinga.
Who is that?
With 44%.
Who said that?
Yeah, this is a straw poll that was taken by the Star.
Okay.
Then we have Mudavadi at 18%. We'll have Kalonzo Musyoka at 12%.
Yes.
We'll have Wetangula at 2%. And Mo Yoso at 1%. Others, 1%. Undecided, 22%.
Now, Debarl, now you agree with the theory of what I was telling you. The problem inside NASA, if there is, of course, that's a conception, NASA, is what I've just said to our viewers. The fear of the influence and the factor of Raila Odinga, because all these other gentlemen sitting there know that reality, that indeed, as badly as they are doing entirely as the opposition, as badly as they are doing, the only candidate who is in the forefront is Raila. At least he can garner a few votes here and there. Of course, not enough to compete with Jubilee. But these guys now, they don't want to back this man. They cannot back him. And they are waiting for that magic word, Mudavadi Tosha, with Kalonzo, and I wait for Prime Minister, or the reverse of that. This is what is cooking. That is the meal. But unfortunately, it will not. That meal will never come to be. It will never be put on the table because Raila has been very clear. He's been very adamant. He is going for it himself. Those are the rumors.
Just someone can hear from Mithika. All right, let's hear from Mithika.
Yes.
We'll come to you, sir.
And Debarl, it's very important, and I want to advise Khalwale not to really bring issues like cooking in such a serious debate. And especially, whatever Murenda may not understand. But let me tell him and give you free and advice.
Yes.
We are at a very critical situation where we are getting to a stage where elections will be decided. Because we are doing voter registration. And I have said in this show many times, call it NASA, whatever it is, in the absence of Raila Amolo Odinga as candidate, my friend, you cannot garner 10-15% of the supporters of your supporters in this country. Because it is only Raila who will go to Meru and excite some crowd. Go to Kambanu or wherever it is. Just send your guy there. You will be surprised. Let me conclude. I'm trying to lay ground to the ground of what I'm trying to say. So from the poll that was done by the Star, that should guide you in telling you that time has come when you must swallow the bitter pill. Say whatever it is, let us stand by this guy. Let us see how we can package him now so that he poses a serious threat to Jubilee. Look at your numbers. You are done. You have there is no alternative that we will give to this country. My brothers, let us try and preach unity and in a manner that will bring Kenya together and see how everyone else can be accommodated in the next dispensation. Because the election is lost.
I wanted to ask my brother Boni a question. Yes. Because I have a lot of respect for him. In the cooking, in the cooking that he is doing, whatever cooking he is doing, how does he intend to address the issue of the fact that there was an agreement that the Wiper team would take the mantle and Kalonzo would be the candidate? Why are they cooking anymore when they had already cooked?
And they are cooking using oil and water, which cannot mix.
Let me say something.
Yes.
Let me say something. Yeah?
Okay.
Let me say something.
Let's Khalwale answer that, then we'll come to you. Yeah. It's a direct question to Khalwale.
I'm glad Linturi, just like Mutahi and Kimani, you don't come from the hunting background. The hunting background is like this. There is something called the jeep psychology. Jeep psychology. Chimpanzee, when it is in the bush, when it is in the bush, and it sees a cobra like this, a cobra charge like this, it collapses and pretends that it is dead.
That is what you are doing here.
Yes, it collapses. It collapses and pretends that it is dead. And little children, can I go there?
Let it finish.
So every father, when you talk to your little children, this is what we are taught. That when you're still small like this, if you see that chimpanzee coming, take a piece of stick, and put it on your head like this.
If you do what?
You are not listening to me. No, every father teaches the boys. We are taught that as you look after the animals, if you see a jeep catching, don't run. It will catch up with you. Just take a stick, put it here. When it is like this, the jeep collapses. right? We are going to play so much cheap psychology on you guys. Before you know it, the election will be over. We shall have defeated you. Keep waiting.
You don't need to pretend that you're dead.
Okay.
I mean, really, you don't need to pretend you're dead already.
Okay.
We might have got into what Khalwale is saying, except they have made so many blunders in the recent past. I'm unable to believe they are capable of serious scheming. However, I want to again go to Jubilee and tell them that if NASA was not there, you wouldn't be as scared as you are. You are so scared, and you are justifiably scared.
All
because if I've not even spoken.
I'm just agreeing with you. No, continue. I'm in concert.
You are so
not really with your view, but I'm nodding to.
No. You shouldn't agree with my view. You are the moderator.
No, I'm saying. No, listen. No,
it's because you're trying to go into a subject that's already exhausted.
What I'm saying is, if NASA holds the way it is today and even stronger, there's no way Jubilee can beat NASA. Impossible. That is a fact. Number two, you are right that Raila is the main man in the opposition, but you are wrong in one score. Politics is very dynamic. You cannot read politics the way you read simple things. And politics, nobody would have known Trump would become president of the United States of America.
Amen.
If we were to read politics in America the way you are reading politics here, we would have dismissed Trump. And many dismissed him. So don't think the people in the opposition are not seeing the things you are seeing. And they are not seeing your attempt to encourage Kalonzo to bold. They are seeing. That's what they're doing. And they are prepared for you. Except I'm a little discouraged by their ability.
The Bible says...
I'm a little discouraged by their ability.
The Bible says they have eyes they cannot see.
Brain power.
They have ears they don't hear.
Yes.
And that is the perfect description
All right.
of what they're doing.
Okay.
They have eyes and they never see.
Kalonzo has said, and I have reason to believe him, that he would rather be a sweeper in the court NASA State House than be that Jubilee wishes to give him in the State House of Jubilee 2007.
Tell him to say that again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't remember
Tell him
that.
to
He said it. We need to wind up.
I don't remember him being a sweeper, but the point is, but the point is this. In fact, we are not playing in any role ourselves in NASA. No. We don't want a role in NASA. We don't know what they are doing.
So
let them continue doing whatever they are doing. If Khalwale is the one who is doing the cooking in that NASA thing, yes, we have no worries. All right? Oh. We have no worries. We know you're a good doctor. Right? We know you're a good doctor. Whether he's a witch doctor or a real doctor, we will see eventually. But we have respect. We have respect for Boni Khalwale. Jubilee. Jubilee is not scared at all.
Yes.
The figures are speaking for themselves, and I know that Jubilee is going to form the next government. But the point is, if there are those in Jubilee in court who wish to come to Jubilee, who are we to stop them? They are most welcome.
Thank you.
Of
Thank
course,
you. Let's wind up. Just a moment. We need to wind up also. We look at what was happening in Meru as we're winding up. We have Captain Linturi. With the Meru politics here, if we may just put it on air, we can see Captain Linturi there. Battle for Meru vote in the air as Linturi gets chopper.
Yes.
Yes, Captain Linturi. But there has been also questions about local leaders, you querying Munya's loyalty to the president, right? And you say that you're telling us that you have a good relationship with the government, and yet when Uhuru visits, you are not there. Do you think we will benefit from the president's government when Munya is around? Briefly, as we're winding up, you want to comment on that? 30 seconds, sir.
What I'm saying, what I was trying to say, is that, these governments are autonomous. And they can work independently, but can at times be interdependent with one another. And considering that there is that portion of revenue that is left at the national government, and relationships have a price. So if you're in good relationship, for example, with the national government as a governor, despite your allocation at the county level for development, then you may be in a position also to lobby for serious support from the national government when you're in good terms.
Thank you. Thank you.